Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Town of Dewey Beach Town Council Workshop. It's being held at Dewey Beach Life Saving Station as well as via Zoom. Today is Friday, January 16th, 2026. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to open the meeting and convene Town Council. Let's please start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item, roll call. Commissioner Persinger.
Here.
Commissioner Gibbings.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Kate, do we have Commissioner Jasinski on the line? We do not. And Mayor Stevens is here, so we do have 4 here. So we do have a quorum. Next, for the workshop, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone here for public comments prior to the workshop? Come on up, sir, state your name. We're going to be strict today on the 3 minutes, just to let you know it's not you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm as happy as a clam rake that you're having this workshop. And I'm hoping that we can get started using this at least as a place marker to get a capital improvement plan put into place. I know that this is something that's been in the works and some effort for a number of years ago. In my perception, one of the dynamics goes like this. The Finance Committee is told, develop a capital plan. They ask what will be our flooding costs. Well, we need a $1 million pump, but there's no analysis, inventory, long-term cost curve, other things. Because nothing is really known, nothing can be planned, nothing can be budgeted. Because nothing is budgeted, then the town says we can't afford consultants, and so there's no analysis, and that leads to there being no capacity. That capacity part's important, but I don't have time to go into it really today. Because of no analysis, there are no grants. Because there are no grants, we can't do flood projects. They are too expensive. Because we can't do flood projects, then we're stuck into a situation where only immediate capital needs, police cars, paving, 2% of the set aside for streets is dealt with. And because the documents are so thin, there's a problem getting the loop started. And so I was delighted to see yesterday that there was some set aside for the 3 things I mentioned. One of the aspects from years ago was the late Jim Tyler on the Infrastructure Committee. With the Center for Inland Bays, there was $8 million worth of stormwater flooding. Back then, we didn't have the term that we had tailwater intrusion on the bayside edge. But that's been exceeded. It was exceeded a couple of times back in October. It floods up to the traffic light. So we need to do something because that barrier is only 3.5 feet, needs to go up. Well, that's got real planning, real grants. The hydrology and the hydraulics, the GIS, the benefit cost analysis, the engineering, the urban planning. That's where we have a capacity problem. And our city manager, our town clerk, our building official can't do it. You need help. And so I'm delighted that we can get that process started today. And I plan to be here happy as a clam rake. Thanks, guys.
Anyone else? From the public? Kate, anyone from? Okay. All right, let's move on to the agenda items. Review and discuss the draft fiscal year 2027 budget discussion. Will include presentations by town staff regarding departmental needs. Commissioners will discuss all aspects of the upcoming fiscal year, including financial policy, expenditures, and revenue stream. With this, I'd like to kick it to our town manager, Bill Zolper, to bring up department by department or give us the overview that you'd like to start.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you to the Finance Committee and our employees, especially Sheena and the committee chair from Finance Irish for putting together the numbers for a draft this year. We've made great strides over the last 5 years on how we do the budget here in Dewey by having these workshops, by trying to put things together ahead of time, by projecting what our expenses are going to be going out. Right now, we have, we put together capital expenditures, what we think is for the next 3 years. We have done that. So, for example, for Reed Street, where we thought we were getting $1 million, we had put out that we thought this coming fiscal year we would need $100,000 to match what the Army Corps was going to start doing on that work. But we've moved well. It's not a sprint. It's been a marathon, moving in the right direction. The chief has done a great job on getting grants for us over the last couple of years that she's come in, and she can talk about that a little bit when she's up here. The department heads, I'm going to bring them up one at a time. Captain Fritchman's here right now. He's just going to give a quick overview of the patrol, and then he's going to be open for your questions about his budget, and then being competitive with the other beach patrols on pay. When I got here, not only were the lifeguards, but our police department and most of our employees were way underpaid compared to other jurisdictions in our area. So please keep that in mind as we go through the budget process today. And with that, Mr. Mayor and the Finance Committee and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to Captain Fritchman.
Good. Hold on. Is it Gary?
I have an overriding issue with respect to the draft budget. In November, we revised our general fund balance policy. And the way we've handled that in the past is that we've relied on surpluses at the end of the year to satisfy the fund balance policy requirements for the coming year. We changed that. We did that in November. And what the new fund balance policy says is that there should be regular contributions toward the rainy day fund throughout the year, so that at the end of the year, you meet the 50% requirement. There are no contributions in this draft budget. From my perspective, this budget is over $300,000 in the red. That's an overriding concern. I'm not sure how we deal with that. I know you've made some efforts to revise the budget, but in terms of complying with the policy that we adopted in November, this just doesn't get anywhere near meeting the requirement.
Hey, Commissioner Persinger, does that take into account also the set-asides? When you say 300,000?
It takes into account the set-asides as well.
It does.
After the set-asides, yeah.
Gary, what I'd like for us to do is, as we go through each individual departments, obviously we got to rectify that as part of this process. So it's duly noted that we'll add that as to part of the calculations as to what we need to generate revenue-wise to cover our operating expenses.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager.
Captain Fritchman.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Todd Fritchman, Captain Dewey Beach Patrol. So for the 2026 summer season, there is conceptually and process-wise, there's no real changes. The Beach Patrol will operate the same that it has successfully for the last 30 years that I've been involved with it. There's no raises this year other than the step raises for returning lifeguards. It's 25 cent per hour step. So if you're a second-year guard, the starting wage or your wage would be $9.25 as opposed to the previous year $19 an hour. So the way that our pay structure works is lifeguards start at 19, and in 5 years they're capped out at $20 per hour with a 25% step increase each year upon return. The lieutenants, the command structure, their starting wage is $20.25 per hour, and they're capped out at $21.25 after 5 years. EMTs would start at $18.25 per hour, and they'd be capped out at $20 per hour. We anticipate on having 28 lifeguards on per day as an average. Now that daily average can be skewed because of the opening weekend, we have to have everyone here for orientation. So that means if we have 73 applicants on board, we've got to have 73 people here, which changes the word average to something different. So that is that one thing to consider when analyzing the budget data. The average daily pay that I come up with our predicted wage and the number of lifeguards on per day at 110 days, we're looking at an average daily payout of $4,424, and the annual payroll at $489,640. That doesn't include payroll tax and all the other things that HR plugs into the equation. So there's no capital expenditures. Our vehicles are intact and operational, and through routine maintenance, they'll be ready to provide emergency medical responses and open water rescue bay or beach responses when needed. No capital outlay there. We do have to, of course, certify and train all of our staff in emergency medical responder national certification. The Delaware Fire School does that. That is not a cheap exercise. It's per head, and so we can't actually determine the total cost of that until we have our staffing done in mid-April. There shouldn't be much change from last year or the previous year's costs for that program. So with that being said, I think there's questions. I can answer questions if.
Mr. Mayor, could I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
We've increased our lifeguards' hourly pay since I've been here, and we are still the lowest beach patrol between Rehoboth and Fenwick Island. The rookies in Rehoboth start out at $21 an hour, and our rookies start at $19. We've made great strides to be close to where they are, but we're still far behind. So when you look at Captain Fritchman's budget, please keep that in mind, because we're competing to get the best people here as lifeguards. We want the ones that are great athletes. We want the ones that are smart. We want the ones that are going to sit to stand and show up maturity, right? So remember that we're still lower than the other beach patrols when we go to compete for those jobs. Isn't that correct?
Much lower. State Parks is up to I think $23 an hour to start. Town of Bethany's at 21. So yeah, we're by far the lowest paid. And we are indeed the only ones that provide the emergency medical responses and the civil law enforcement to the extent that we do. I shouldn't say civil law enforcement, civil law compliance. We call on PD for enforcement when we fail to be able to manage the violators, but so that's really important to understand. There's two budgets combined here. The open water rescue lifeguard and the emergency medical services to the town, which is paramount.
Thank you, Captain. Question for you. One of the things as we looked through and going back into the historical costs, we saw a pretty dramatic increase, obviously from 25 to 26, but and especially from an amended budget standpoint. And now in the 27 to the amended budget isn't that much of an increase because of the amendment that we made. What is the major change that you saw from the 25 to the 26 going from, right now it looks like 468,000 to 600,000? I mean, was that partially because of the increases that we made to get back to market, or mostly because of?
Well, the primary one, to be forthright, is the use of a time clock.
Okay.
We had standard starting and ending times historically. We went to a time clock method, and those historical start and end times don't occur when you have a time clock unless the time clock is preset to start at a certain time. So
Okay.
that's one of the main contributing factors. The other contributing factor is that we brought on, I think it was 15 to 16 new lifeguards, rookies, to train, because part of this industry is preparing for the next season, this season. You have to train and have your guys ready to go. the following season. So bringing that 16 on, plus all of our returners, we had, I believe, opening weekend, 73 lifeguards in here for training one day, so they all got to be paid. Now, we were able to reduce that over time once we get the schedules and everything made, but those types of things are impact.
Okay. Council, and.
Maybe unavoidable impacts, but impacts nonetheless. So we had a larger number of people for several days than historically that we had to pay.
Go.
I had a couple questions.
Good, Iris.
They may be just philosophical, but about how the spreadsheet is. So, and so some of this may be for Sheena, but on all of these, we've got, on each, employee budget, whatever, we have salary and wages and then overtime broken out separately. So I see here, so the 510 plus 35 equals the, well, no, it doesn't equal the 538. So it looks like we've gone up by $10,000. Is that right, or five?
Correct.
So we have gone up, so, because I was looking at the payroll taxes, and so it says it's the same, but it's really not.
Yeah, I can speak on overtime too. That's important to understand. So overtime is prohibited. You can't work overtime as a Dewey Beach lifeguard until we have official notification from the town manager or authorization. That's typically a rule of thumb date of August 15th. About August 15th, I need to call Bill and say, we have mass exodus. We're down to 12 people. They have to work every day. So then, they are rewarded the overtime that they earn because they can't, we got to have them here every day. So that is captured and shows up on, is that time and a half?
Yes.
Time and a half.
And so we've just broken out that separately, just so we can understand that.
Yes, because the commissioners asked after the approval of the FY26 budget for us to do that. I did not have the opportunity to go back through the prior 5 years and break it out.
Yeah, we've talked about that in our own internal meetings about breaking that. We just haven't caught up to breaking that out yet.
And then the other question I have is, we've moved to consolidate utilities, cleaning, and all that stuff into a single account for some of the other ones, and this one is not. Is that because it's this building?
The utilities are standalone for here and the warehouse because they're their own
Okay.
building. And the supplies for maintenance and beach patrol are unique to that department. The rest of us do not need the EMT supplies that Captain Fritchman needs. That's why those were not.
Okay. That's it for me, thank you. And I appreciate all that you do, and you do an amazing job on this shoestring.
Thank you. No, I love the questions. Keep them coming.
Really a question for Sheena. If we moved the 19 to $20, so we moved it up $1, it would times 28 lifeguards per day, 8 hours a day, times 110 days, that's about 25,000?
But it's not $20 across the board for everybody. Your first year lifeguard is $20. Your second year is $20.25. We have quite a few lifeguards that have been here 5, 10, 15 years.
Now, my thought
Okay,
is,
so 73 lifeguards with $1 raise each, if you did it that way.
right, so how much, if we move everything up $1, what does that cost us? Is that 73,000?
The lifeguard data.
Here, you want this spreadsheet? This helps. Just change this number here.
Based on last year's hours, and that's what I did, is I took exactly what every lifeguard worked last year and projected for this year. We're talking, sorry, it's harder on the laptop. We're talking an additional at least $25,000.
That's about what I was figuring. Todd, I mean, your recruiting looks good for this year, I'm assuming, as always.
Well, this is the time of the year where we start getting the applications. I have, right now, technically, I don't have any staff, none.
Right.
I happen to know maybe 4 or 5 that are definitely coming back. The applications are starting to come in. I think we have 4, but they don't really start hitting until about the 1st of March. And so I don't know what staff I'll have next year until we go through all the tryouts.
Well,
And
if we were to add that extra dollar, would that, I would hope that that would encourage more people to come back than to go somewhere else. I mean, but I don't know that, but, you know, would that, if you have more returning people, does that change the training requirements or anything else by having the more training, you have to still do all that anyway?
provides a better lifeguard
Yeah,
if you have them back, because they're pre-trained and now they mature and understand more and more all the time.
Kind of might have missed
So
this,
that
out of the
would definitely
73
be an
that you
asset.
had last year, what are you expecting you're going to return this year?
I expect 85% return, 25%, or the difference of 85 and 100.
I think Captain Fritchman's had to hire anywhere between 10, 13 or 14 guards in the 4 to 5 years that I've been here consistently.
It's usually 85% return.
Yeah.
so you're a good boss.
Well, the program's good. I guess I've run.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is we just want to keep you competitive with the other lifeguards. I mean,
We aren't competitive. We did our best to get there, but then everyone else has jumped up significantly. I don't know, they just have.
Right.
But it has impacted us in the last 5 years. Prior to 5 years ago, we never had competition from other patrols. They would leave to come here, even though we didn't pay as much.
Right.
But now, the amount of money that they're paying, the differential is huge. It's
Right. Well,
$3,
I'm-
$4 an hour is significant if you're 8-hour day.
I'm trying to think like an 18-year-old, if I can make $21 or $19. So, you know, 21 and 20, you know, to me, that's sort of the same. I know there's 40 hours in a week, so it's $40, but, you know, I think we need to be a little closer to Rehoboth and Bethany. And, you know, we're never going to get to the state's pay level, but
State parks went through the roof.
23, yeah, I
Well,
mean,
but I'm also looking at, we're talking about contributing more to the Rehoboth Fire Department, but are we better off investing that in our EMTs that are right here helping our drug people too, and making sure those are the best? Just to-
Well, we're the basic life support that keeps everybody breathing
Yeah,
and with a pulse until they come. That's advanced life support. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest that I'd stay out of
it's
that.
not either or, but yeah, I mean, I don't wanna, you know, but I'm just saying, it's that
Right.
that is part of the calculus. I
Your
think.
EMTs and EMRs are extremely important. Over the course of 30 years, there's been at least 7 commissioners that they have kicked the door down, going in and taken care of. Someday it might be me.
That doesn't mean that we get a priority, it's just random what happened.
What that means is if something goes wrong, we're coming.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine while we're there.
I mean, July 4th weekend, nobody's coming from anywhere else.
Captain, I just want to make, I don't want to assume it's going to happen again this year versus last year. I mean, 2 different things. One, we've had really successful program. You've run a really successful program and it shows in terms of the performance. But when I look at employees and I look at cost of employees, that is where things are going to get out of control quick when you've got 80% of your budget tied into people. And I kind of look at it just as, when we look at the police department, and we will look at that eventually, it's what is the total cost of that employee, or what is the total benefits of that employee, whether it's a take-home car, et cetera. I don't know if this is a true statement, so I'm asking. Is it true that some of the restaurants also allow the lifeguards to eat for free in town? Is that-
Not for free,
Oh, okay.
Discounted.
Okay. Discounted, okay.
discounted, yeah. Most of the stores and restaurants will offer the beach patrol and I believe PD, any town employee discounts.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
We take full advantage of it.
Hungry lifeguards.
My family too, yeah.
Okay.
I was surprised when I looked at this. We haven't actually done a budget amendment yet. We haven't formally voted on an amendment yet. But that's, the point here is that, your total costs overall are up 20%. And that seems to be largely because of employee compensation. It's up 20% from what you projected in the FY26 budget to what we now think would be the amended budget for FY26. That's a big change. And is it really true the time clock, just using a time clock made that much difference? I mean, were we really underpaying lifeguards to that extent? Was this something you were surprised by? It seems to me that we have had over the past couple of years, we've had this discussion about lifeguards not actually working just 8 hours, but, you know, they don't get back to the life-saving station till 5:30. So again, I'm just surprised, and I'm not sure when I assume at some point we must have approved the time clock. Is that
When we did the timekeeping system, it
the
was part of
timekeeping
it.
system? Okay.
And Commissioner Perfield, what we're doing this year, all the new people that are hired and the ones that are coming back, they will receive a letter. We ran this through our HR with Sheena. Their time will not start till 9 o'clock. If they get here at 8:15 or 8:45, their time doesn't start this year until 9 o'clock. So those folks that were getting here 15 minutes early for 9 o'clock roll call will not be compensated this year for that time. That was something that we should have figured out ahead of time. We just didn't. But this year, and that will be in their packet explaining that to them. So when they take the job, they know that their pay starts at 9 o'clock. Unless Captain Fritchman has said, hey, one of the lieutenants, your job is to go down the beach today at 8:30 and check and make sure none of the bonfires, the coals are still there, or to make sure that there's nothing else on the beach, correct?
That's right. So there will be, so the answer, sir, if you don't mind,
You get the floor.
we're going to have a time clock policy now. We didn't have a time clock policy prior because we've never had a time clock for it, so.
Also, in the past, the guards were getting paid for a straight 8 hours. Now, I don't walk much in this town, but I'm assuming that it takes at least more than 5 minutes to get from the furthest south street to here. So when they get off of the beach at 5 o'clock, when they pull their stand back, and then while they have to come back here to return their items, they were not getting paid for that, but they were required to come back here. So it's being fair to fair to our employees.
Okay, I understand, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think we had this discussion some time ago, and I thought that issue had been corrected some time ago.
It had been, sir, that had been corrected.
Right.
But what wasn't, the variable that changed this year was an open end on each end. So if someone came in and clocked in at 7:45 and made some coffee and prepared themselves, well, yeah,
So it
we're
sounds like
going to
we're-
have a start and stop policy.
So we have an error in this year's actuals that if we had it in place, have you guys quantified what that number?
We
would
haven't
be?
got to do that, but I'm pretty confident it would probably be at 18%.
I've got the full data, I've got everyone's clock in and clock out time. I was gonna work on it over Christmas, but I got lazy, and I'm going to work on that this weekend in getting an exact, taking how many minutes prior to 9 o'clock for everyone. No one clocked out after 5:30, I know that specifically. But I can tell you how many minutes after 5 o'clock also were throughout the year. I can have all that information.
Okay, but so for the amended budget, we have $615,895. And what I'm hearing is that in some sense, there's some overcompensation there. And yet the projected budget for FY '27 is $626,185. So it's going up by $11,000, but you said there's no pay increase included in that or any other capital expenditure.
Just the quarter.
Steps,
Well, that would just be,
Just the steps, just the step.
oh, step increase.
the
Okay.
step increases,
All
yeah.
right.
So everyone that was here last year as a rookie lifeguard will now go to 925. I'm sorry, yeah, it's 1920.
So I just want to make sure I understand this, because I think what Commissioner Persinger brings up is a good point. We originally budgeted $445,000 last year to what ended up being $540, right? So that's a big difference in terms of what was budgeted. So was it a miss in terms of the estimated hours? Was it, I heard time clock. I assume increase in hourly rate because of seniorities. Is there anything else that we're missing here?
The only thing that I know that's increased our budget and payroll above what we predicted is that variable, the time clock. I would have to look at that and see what everything is in that.
Okay.
What all the line items are in there. I can't see it to comment any further than that. That I am completely aware of and understand.
There was 32,000 hours over what was projected. Over what was actual.
Could it be 32,000 hours?
So, but there's 36, so there was 36,000 of overtime this year actual, and we're budgeting 35,000, but with the correction, we should hopefully be less than that, right? If we adopt the new policy, so maybe we can sharpen our pencil on that a little bit.
I can
That's,
definitely.
yeah, that's
Is that
done
what-
deal.
that's what
It's
you're
already
saying?
been made. The policy's already been established.
Any other questions for Captain?
Thanks, Todd. Great job.
Thank you.
So Scott Schaefer had a death in his family, and he is not here today, so Justin is filling in for him. Justin's been with us now 2 years. Before that, he was with Denrec. I'm gonna have him go ahead and talk about what the maintenance program has done over this last year. And if you have any questions, there are no capital expenditures this year for our maintenance program. We do not need to buy a new skid loader. We do not need to buy any large equipment. Justin.
Good afternoon. My name is Justin. I'm maintenance department for today. So I guess maintenance department takes care of our dune crossings, including our mats, and that's pretty much a year-round project. Crosswalks and public safety infrastructure, including signs and fixtures that are through town, including painting them, painting driveways, all that other stuff. Clearing trash and debris, and that includes fallen trees, and stormwater drainage, right? So cleaning all that stuff out to the best of our ability. Maintaining the buildings, and our pump stations. And then on top of all that, trying to make the town a little bit nicer by adding some cool things at the end of the street, or maybe cleaning up some areas that have been maybe neglected or just beat up over time. So then, like Bill said, we don't have anything really major this year as far as expenditures go. We don't need a new truck, don't need new pieces of equipment. It's all smaller stuff that will help us be faster, more efficient, or actually be cheaper in the long run.
Yeah, maintain Dewey's appearance, keeping the town clean. Also, what I'd like to point out is Scott does a lot of work in the past on our vehicles where we would send them to garages for like tire changes, things like that. We order the tires, Scott puts them on the vehicle, saving us probably $400 or $500 by him doing that type of labor. We've been very good over the past year with having our maintenance team do a lot of maintenance on like all of the lifeguards' ATVs. Instead of taking them down to Berlin for maintenance every year, they're able to do some of that maintenance if it's not under warranty, do that maintenance here for us, also saving us money. Our maintenance folks here, just like the lifeguards, are under what the surrounding towns are, but we do make up for that with our health benefits, I feel. There's only 2 of them, and they're, they keep the town clean, they respond to property owners when they have a problem about grass in front of the house, or trash out there, they're the ones that respond. They work from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Because of traffic and trying to get stuff done on the streets, because once the streets fill with cars, it's hard for them to go out and do their job.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Council, question, thank you, Justin. Any questions for Justin concerning the maintenance budget?
So it's about the same as last year.
Go ahead.
Just quickly.
Mayor, it's Vinnie Susi from the Finance Committee. I have one question for Justin. Justin, in terms of the maintenance of the town's appearance, how much of that do you believe is impacted by the influx of visitors, specifically during the holiday weekends?
4th of July.
How much of our town is impacted by visitors during the holidays?
Like, take your BAU timeframe.
Oh, it's very much affected. Man, just trash cleanup alone is days worth of work, 8 hours apiece. Just trying to maintain cleanliness of the town on the 4th of July weekend. And the local businesses do a pretty good job of cleaning up their fair share of trash, but if you were to take a ride down, like, say, Barrett Avenue, that's an entire morning cleaning up trash on a regular basis, and then on a holiday weekend, you get pretty intense. So, that and cleaning off the graffiti, repairing signs that are damaged or broken. Tourism is definitely the reason that we have maintenance department.
And I'd also like to
Weather.
add that part of the Alderman program with the police department is the Alderman in the police department will sometimes, for something like urination in public or some of the other minor infractions, give them the option to come in and work 8 hours on a weekend. It's up to them to come in and clean up the town. And it's worked. It's been a very good program that's worked this last summer. And I'd like to thank the Alderman in the police department for helping us with that program.
Any other questions of Town Manager Justin from the Maintenance Council Committee? Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
Next will be Tammy Horn. Tammy has, just if you don't know, she has over 30 years of experience in parking.
She's not that old.
She does a great job handling the concerns on parking violations. You can imagine how many calls, emails that she gets during the year. And I can tell you, I get very few of those. She handles most of them at her level, and she does a very good job. I will get maybe 10% of what she gets throughout the whole year. And I think if you look at the budget, we did something really important last year when you approved $19 an hour for our parking ambassadors. We obtained a more mature person that was out there on the street doing the job that they should be doing. Where in the past, I think we had some folks that weren't as mature yet and they weren't doing the enforcement, but they did a really good job, and you'll see that reflected, I think, in the budget. With that, I'll turn it over to Tammy.
Good afternoon. Last year, we were able to hire 13 ambassadors, which I think is the most that we've had since I've been in charge since the year 22. Not everybody wanted to work a full shift as far as working 40 hours or up to 40 hours. 6 of them or 5 of them only wanted to work 3 days a week. So I was able to make it all work out. We were able to write more tickets than we had in the past, which also created more work as far as appeals for the courts and for me, which we're still kind of working on some of them at the present time. But all in all, I think it was a good summer. We had a gentleman working in our office who was able to diffuse a lot of the irate customers coming in at the window with their tickets, because a lot of the appeals turned out to be people who were inputting their license plates incorrectly, whether forgetting letters or transposing numbers for the letters. So that ordinance with the $5 administrative fee, we were able to basically do the reduction while the customer was at the window, helping alleviate some of the court appeals. And I'm hopeful that this summer we can find the same amount of staff that we had last year and have another good summer.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Tammy, your employee, in terms of year over year, in terms of your retention, obviously, I see the people that you have every year, and definitely an older group, a more mature group that we saw out there from a ticket. Do you expect some of them to be back, or do you have any idea as to how many or what percentage will be back this year?
So far, I've only heard from 2. from last year that are coming back. I'm hopeful that a few more will be back.
Okay.
But we'll probably have a totally different crew, other than the 3 or 4 that'll be back.
So the parking ambassador job, educate first, enforce second, is a tough job, just like the police department. When you're out there giving tickets for parking, nobody's happy about it. But the commissioners were able to make a good decision 2.5, 3 years ago, where if a person parks legally and pays for parking, but puts the wrong tag number in, leaves out the Paul Charles or the Charles Lincoln, or takes a number in a letter, and they paid for parking, they parked legal, we were able to say, okay, you're not gonna pay the penalty, but there is a $5 admin fee, because Tammy's folks still has to go through and do that background and look and see that they parked legally and they paid for the parking. So that was a very good decision made by the commissioners, and I think it was fair. Tammy's group brings in almost $2 million worth of revenue every year to the town. It's very important that we get the right people in that job also. It's very important. And it's hard to get people to work after 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night during the summer, on a Friday and Saturday night, when the town is full of people that have been out and having a good time. But her team was able to do that. Also, I'd like to remind everybody, she also handles our dog ambassadors down on the beach also. Does a very good job with that program.
Bill, I assume when you say 2 million, you're assuming the daily parking, the parking meters, plus the parking tickets?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The budget that you put forth in terms of, from an expenditure standpoint, there's no surprises here as I look through it in terms of the details. There's nothing that causes me any kind of agita, which is Italian for heartburn. The only thing that I do question is in prior years, the parking tickets, and I know we're more about the education piece versus the ticketing piece, but we had 300,000 of parking tickets in 2025. 2026, that jumped up to 566, but yet we're budgeting 500, and I'm a little concerned if that's just too much of a jump going from the 300 to 500, just given an anomaly that we may have had in this year.
So, as I said, we had a really good crew this last year, and as you've heard Tammy say, we may not get those back. So we don't want to, if I'm understanding your question correctly, we don't want to project that we're going to get the same amount of parking tickets as we did this past year and not make budget on that. That's answering your question.
It is. I'm just still curious whether the jump up, our actual for this year was $566,000, even though our budget was 300. We're still taking up to 500,000. So I'm just voicing a concern that.
So you think
is
it's
that-
too much?
I think it's too much of a
I
jump.
think it's too much. Okay.
But I'll put that, this is comment that we can talk about as we tune in on the budget, but I'll open up for council and committee. Paul?
Question?
Yep.
Yeah, Tammy, when, obviously every parking ambassador we have out there sort of generates, if you're down 10% of your people coming back, it's safe to assume that we would miss the budget by 10%. So, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, we got to make sure, we get these people to come back. Do we lose them to other jurisdictions or the other municipalities, or they just decide they don't want to be a parking ambassador anymore?
Well, some of them are J1s, so they don't necessarily come back.
Right, okay.
So we would get new ones if totally different ones when they come. The new J1s come this summer. Then the older ones, they're retired, so they might decide they don't want to work after working for the summer. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer. Like one of the gentlemen that worked with us last summer, he worked 2 days a week. He's decided he didn't feel like he was retired just by working 2 days, so he's not going to come back. He's not going to work at all because he wants to golf. He wants to be retired.
I understand.
So I'm thinking, what does Rehoboth pay for?
So that's what I was going to say. We're actually
I think
Higher.
usually we're above Rehoboth.
We rely on parking revenue and parking passes and the whole parking program. Rehoboth may or may not rely on as much as we do, but we rely on that. So we pay our parking folks a little more than Rehoboth pays theirs.
Okay. Just want to make sure, I mean, are you comfortable that we're competitive at the 19 for parking investment? Okay.
Yeah, and the returnees will get that 25% raise,
Okay.
just like the other department.
You're comfortable with that, I'm comfortable with
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I would just say, I think an economist would call this a very cost-effective operation.
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Thank you, Tom.
Got good return. We used to go an extra buck.
Just, I walk around the town a lot, and one thing I noticed is, these are all positive comments, by the way. I watch the interaction of the folks with parking, that guy give you a ticket, here's why, blah, 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 and they handle it really well. And then with the younger ones on the bicycle, they're a lot more athletic. And so I see them this year or last year, a lot more of them in the back parts of Dewey, where enforcing the parking back there. So if you do training for them, you might want to say, make sure that you hit different spots of the town. A lot of the, particularly the older ones, I see them, the main drag in a couple of the side streets. But,
So they're assigned certain sectors. Tammy's got it broken down to sectors, and when they come in, she already has them assigned out to certain sectors.
well, for example, one of your J1s, I saw her over by Mama Maria. Then I'm walking around about a little later, I see her in the back by the bay, way back there. So I'm not sure how big the sectors are, but she was moving.
Well, when I have enough people, there's a roamer that can go anywhere in town
Okay,
besides the ones that have an actual section.
all right. That explains that, but what I observed was good.
Yeah, okay,
Thank
thank you.
Do we have any worries about getting J1s back this year with the current immigration stuff going on? I don't know, they've all people banned from here and there and whatever. I mean, it's out of our control, I suppose, but,
Maybe student visas.
and that's not impacted. I don't know.
The main.
I can Google that, it doesn't matter.
I think the main increase though for the parking tickets this year was the more mature
Yeah.
folks that we had out there. Because we've had J1s since I've been
Yeah.
here.
brought them
But
to-
this year, the past year was different with the age of the employee that we had.
Any other questions for Tammy? Okay. Thank you, Tammy.
Thanks, Tammy, nice job.
Just for, like, to the chief's stuff. What's that? So, since the chief's taken over, we've made great strides in town, not only in the police department itself, but with our police officers, the equipment that they use, and with the enforcement. And not only that, but what's really important, what the chief's done is brought us up to where we should be as a police department today. When we move into the new building, we have just about hit all those marks where we should be for a police department. The CAD system, the way she's doing evidence now, that costs money. But when you go and you have to go to court or you have to show your evidence and how you kept it, a chain of custody, that's really important. And, all that costs money. So, but I would just say, we're very fortunate to have the chief and her department and her employees.
Hello, everyone. So today, really, I'm here to discuss the request for 2 vehicles. When I arrived here, our fleet was in disarray, which I've mentioned in the past, and every year we've been able to get new vehicles. We're fortunate enough to get a grant for 2 e-vehicles. And the nice thing is Sussex County gives us money every year, which we can use for anything really, but we use it towards one of the purchase of the vehicles, which we've done for the last 3 years. Last season, we got $45,000 from Sussex County. Since I've been here, this will be my 3rd year. They've increased it every year, so the hopes is that they will increase it again. So I put on my chart, I'm looking for the purchase of 2 Chevy Tahoes, The cost of that is $120,000, and then the outfitting of the two vehicles is $74,000, which would be a total cost of $196,000. The Sussex County grant is $45,000, and we have sold our van. We will receive the check for that next week, which is $15,000. So with the grant and the $15,000 sale of the van, that will actually cover the cost of one Tahoe. So ultimately, the final output from the town will be $132,000. That's also listed on my, if you could see on my chart, I put the sale of the 2015 Chevy Tahoe, which we would hope to get $4,000, which we put back towards the purchase of these vehicles. Do you have my vehicle chart? I wasn't sure. Okay. So the vehicle chart that you're looking at, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to replace a 2021 Dodge Durango, which is our K9 vehicle that has 55,878 miles on it. That vehicle is not going to disappear. That's going to become a spare. The second vehicle I'm looking to replace is a 2020 Chevy Tahoe that has 75,000 miles on it, 559. So that will also become a spare. Our current K9 spare is a 2015 Chevy Tahoe with 125,000 miles on it. It does not have a K9 system in it, meaning it does not have a heat system. What that does is if the officer, especially in the summer months, is in the station or out on a call, if the temperature goes down in the vehicle, the heat system will lower the windows and alert the K9 handler. I do not have this on this vehicle. This vehicle was outfitted to become a spare K9 when it was brought down the line from purchasing new vehicles. So it's really not an adequate vehicle for us. So the goal would be, if you do allow us to get the two new Tahoes, we would sell that K9 vehicle that has 125,000 miles on it and replace it with this Dodge Durango, which has 55,000 miles on it.
The alarm system.
And the alarm system, it's fully outfitted. So these two vehicles are the two last vehicles on the fleet that were here before I arrived, the 21 and the 2020. When I first arrived here, when we decided to get the second K9, the Dodge Durango was used because that was already assigned to the handler, and we made that work. We outfitted for K9 and put all the equipment in it. However, a Tahoe is much more suited for a K9. It's more space for a larger cage, and a K9 handler has to also have their bite suit in there, which is very large, all their K9 equipment, plus all their police equipment, their weapons and everything. So they need a little bit more space. But really the main goal of replacing that is so that I can take that newer K9 vehicle and make that our spare. So ultimately, if we do replace the two vehicles, our fleet would have two spares. And then we would also have our old pickup truck, which is the 2016 Dodge Ram, which has 69,000 miles on it. That is what you will see our seasonals patrolling in this summer. And I also put on this list that I forgot to mention on my request is we will need a partition for that truck, which is $2,785. So we will no longer have the transport van because that's gone. And then we will have the truck that the seasonals will use. Also, when we have our part-time officers come in, they use one of the spare vehicles when they work the road. So really, these are my two biggest requests. The two biggest things that our agency needs are these vehicles. I would like to add, Bill wanted me to mention our grants. I was going to discuss it in the next meeting as well. I put the numbers together and they're on our yearly reports. Since I've been here for this is my third year here on the 18th, our department has been awarded $909,410 in grant money. That's a lot of money. And this year alone, our agency was awarded $287,701.50. Every year, we've been able to use this grant money to get all the equipment and things that we didn't have. When I got here, my officers didn't have vests that weren't expires. The seasonals didn't have vests. Our new radio system, our CAD system, all this has been achieved through grant money. So we buy everything that we can. We apply for every grant we possibly can. And as I said, with the Sussex County grant that helps put money towards this vehicle, that's why I need the money from the town to pay for these two vehicles. I get money for everything I can. I'm hoping that the Sussex County grant will give us a little bit more money this year. And if they do, if it's more than 45, obviously that goes back into the fleet program and help with the maintenance of the vehicle. So the money's always turned back into where it came from. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Dad, let's go, start with you and we'll go walk this way.
Well, my good question is, it looks like, once we get, if we do this year's request, then after that, all the vehicles are pretty new, nothing will be over 3-4 years old. There's not a lot with high mileage. Would we be able to adjust the downstream schedule to not necessarily, after this year, are we gonna, need as many replacements, given that the fleet is a lot younger than it used to be?
Yes, so I had it for 2028, I put one vehicle replacement. Possibility it might be our truck, our old truck that's already got a lot of miles on it and it's gonna be constantly, especially in the summer months, it's used for every day.
Right.
So that vehicle may need to be replaced. That's why I put one for the following year and then I put two. Basically, I used the 2-1-2-1-2 system.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously on it, I put that can be adjusted according to agency needs. One of the problems that we've had since I've been here, we had a vehicle that was struck by somebody
Right,
and
yeah.
it got totaled, so I can't control that. Or sometimes an engine blows up. So those are the things, but now that we actually have a good maintenance program and these vehicles are being maintained and they're newer, a lot of them are still under warranties, they're gonna hold up a little bit longer. Because like I said, when I got here, everything was very old. So these last two vehicles will really get us to a much better place with our fleet, where we need to be.
Chief, I'm not commenting on, just because the one that was destroyed in the accident, was that scheduled to be replaced? Or was that a newer car that was?
No, that was an older
It
vehicle.
was.
Yeah, it was an older one.
How are we dealing with what the transport van used to do?
Well, each vehicle, except for the canines, have a partition in the back, except for the admin vehicles. So they can transport prisoners, that's what that partition's for. This truck is gonna have a partition put in it, because in the summer, usually, a lot of times, we'll call the seasonals up to come transport for us, and then officers can still
So
transport.
the truck is?
The truck is, the Ram
Has extra
truck,
doors.
that's gonna be the seasonal
You
vehicle.
saying we
that
don't
they
need a
use.
paddy wagon anymore?
The paddy wagon is
what I'm
no
asking
longer
about,
here.
yes.
The paddy wagon's not reliable, it's too large, it's poor visibility. Every year that I've been here, it's been in some type of accident or damage. And it's not a safe vehicle to use.
Thank you.
Commissioner Persinger.
I think I got lost in the figures a little bit. What's the overall net ask that you're?
The overall net ask in the requests after everything was 132,
Okay.
868.
Plus partition, 3 grand.
That was included in that,
That much?
yeah.
Does that also include the no hot hub system?
That includes, with the installs, that includes everything. For the canine installs for the new canine vehicle with the cage and everything for the dog. That includes everything.
Chief, if we were looking to cut back as we were, I mean, as we always try to, if you were to get one vehicle, talk to me about the risks that we put you in. I mean, you do have the spares that are there. And I think, saying, yeah, we can guarantee you one truck, maybe not two, but tell me how that's gonna affect you,
Well,
hypothetically.
hypothetically, I mean, on occasion, we have had where, where vehicles are down or in the shop and every spare is being used by somebody, even the transport van before. Remember, the seasonals are gonna be using the truck. So when I have a part-time officer, if I don't have as many spares, he won't have a car to use. He'll have to double up with somebody else. The only spare I'll have, if I only get one vehicle, is going to be that, the old canine, depending on what we do, which is, I can tell you right now, it's been in the shop for 2 weeks. We're trying to get it so that it will pass emissions so we can get it tagged. So it's not very reliable. That's where we are with that vehicle. Not reliable for canine. The other thing about a canine, if a canine car goes out, Corporal Epries' car went down, it was in the shop for 2 weeks. Can't leave his canine at home. He works a 12-hour shift plus travel time, so then you have a dog. You can't leave a dog at home for 13 hours in a kennel. So he has to bring his dog to work, whether he has his car or not. So it makes it very difficult because, like I said, we sold the van because it wasn't a good vehicle for us to use anywhere, safety and reliability. So that vehicle is gone as of next week. So that's gone.
But you also have 2 officers that have motorcycles in addition to their cars. Is that-
Well, Well, they can use the motorcycles, yes, but they don't take the motorcycles to and from.
Motorcycles stay here.
They're
I'm
here
saying
in the
they're
trailer. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they stay here.
So just to be clear, you're asking 132,000 plus. None of that's included in the overall operating budget. That is money that's additional to the 3-point-some million dollar budget.
Correct.
To support the police department, okay.
Yes, sir. And the hopes is that we do get more money from Sussex County. We did, I will add that the Sussex Chiefs Association did put in a request to the county for a tier system, and we're tier 1, and we had asked for $100,000, but we won't know if we're gonna get that probably until later in the summer.
Chief, you also put out an announcement not too long ago that you have some scheduled promotions to some of your team. Does the schedule that was provided in terms of the police schedule that rolls up to the 2.23 million, does that include those promotions?
Sheena, does it?
Yes,
It does.
It does. We coordinated with the chief and her assistant on making sure that we take into account what promotions will take place during this budget year. That's in the budget.
And that is per the contract.
Per the police contract?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those promotions were already in the contract.
I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, me neither.
I have one more quick one, just on a budget one, is like, something, looking at the administrative expenses, the total of salary, wages, and overtime goes up $1,000, but then somehow all the taxes and benefits and everything, the total increase in that administrative obligation is $30,000, and that doesn't make sense to me.
So, so if you're talking about health benefits, if that's what you're asking
Well,
about.
the payroll
What line-
taxes go up, are
Iris,
almost
what line
doubling.
numbers? Give us the row that you're looking at.
I'm looking at, it's 190 to 196. So if you see the top line, like 190, like the amended budget is 372,900. If you look at the 27 budget, the gross salary is 373,919. So it goes up, I guess, almost, almost just $1,000. But then if you look below, all the taxes are going up quite a bit more from the amended budget. So the taxes are going up more than that raw salary. So there's just something doesn't seem right there, unless I missed something.
I'd have to go back through, you're correct, something does look off, but as,
I don't
I
see it.
have to pull up my other spreadsheet. I do the full obligation on its standalone spreadsheet and then have to manually put,
Okay.
so I may have missed.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Iris, I don't see it.
All right, so if you look at, 190 and the difference between the amended budget and the 27 budget for salaries, wages, and overtime, total difference is about $1,000. But then the benefits difference, well, everything below that is is 191,500 in the amended budget, and it's 221,500 in the other budget. So we've gone up 30 grand somehow in the taxes and stuff for only $1,000 salary increase. So I would just check that one. I think it's just.
You're saying the employee benefits are going from 152 to 168, the payroll tax are going from 29 to 42. All right, you're combining those into one.
Yeah.
And looking at the 372.9 with the overtime and salary or wages of 373.
Yeah, so for $1,000 of change in pay, that just seemed like a.
Does that have anything to do with the FMLA?
No, that's pennies. It does look like I took the taxes from one of the, from the wrong spreadsheet. Having to combine multiple spreadsheets it gets hard. Yeah, that should only be, 20, taxes.
Well, we can just, that can
Yeah.
be fixed. We figured out some mistakes. I don't think it's
Yeah, it's only 20, let's see, 29, 26, 4, 30, it should only be 32. Yes, that's 17,000. I took it from one of the wrong departments.
Okay, all right, make that fix, please. Go ahead, Gary.
A question. About the special duty line items, it's 181, 182, and 183. They're not budgeted for in FY '26, and I think there was some discussion of this in the summary, but you've also split out overtime. So I'm just trying to figure out how much of this is reimbursed. I think the pay jobs are at least partially reimbursed.
The pay jobs are fully
They're
reimbursed.
fully reimbursed. And then the others, the extra duty and grant OT, you say more about those?
All right, the grant OT is, if I'm correct, is speed enforcement and things like that. Those are reimbursed at the rate we do not get the taxes. That is a state thing. The state will reimburse us for their wages, but not the taxes.
So there is something on the revenue side that.
Right,
Okay.
yes, it is. Up in the revenue, you see paid police extra duty pay jobs, police extra duty grant is also up there. The third line, which is extra duty,
Right.
is when the chief needs our officers to come in during 4th of July, other weekends, and they get paid. It's not their normal shift. That is
St.
not,
Patty's Day, 4th of July, right?
Does that
Yeah, it's
cover
all throughout the
special
summer.
events and,
It's
you know,
throughout the
running
summer.
things and-
no, that, running things and for the businesses is under pay jobs.
Okay, all right.
Last year, after the budget, I think it was Mayor Stevens asked for the breakout of everything. And that's why it is shown, based on historical.
Okay.
And all of those were obviously put into the historical numbers into one line item.
Hey, Commissioner Persinger, this year for the pay jobs, whether it's a business that asked for our officers to work, or whether it's for a 5K, we've gone from $90 to $105 to try to help with fuel, insurance, everything, because when an officer comes in for that job, they're bringing their vehicle. And the vehicle will run for 3 hours while it's sitting for that job, because if they shut it down, it affects their computer. So we have upped it to try to make up some of that lost revenue from our previous years, from 90 to 105.
Okay.
I also wanted to add one more thing. Some of the grants that we apply for, we actually apply for overtime funding at $65 an hour. So that's obviously reimbursed when we work. Like when we go help Rehoboth with their parade or Special Olympics, you're allowed to help other agencies and use that money. So it's not coming out of our budget, it's coming out of a grant.
I don't have any other questions. Committee, council? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
William? Anyone else?
No, that's,
All right, so we've gone through everything but the town administration.
so town administration building in Alderman, there isn't that much of an increase besides the pay rate increases. So I didn't feel that it was necessary to bring those folks in, each you go through each one of those.
I was looking at you for that. When we look at the overall salaries, I believe that there's a 3% increase,
4%,
4%.
except the police contract.
So it's 4% for town employees. Obviously, that excludes police contracts and anybody under a contract.
Yes.
Council or committee question for Bill on the remaining parts of the budget on the expense side.
Can we afford 4%?
That's what we need to look at. Sheena, have you looked at it, just out of curiosity, what would be the savings if it was a 3% increase or 3.5%? Let's go 3 and no.
We did, Mayor. She can provide that information
Okay.
to you.
So we're looking at right now, while you're looking for it, roughly $420,000 of administration expenses, salary and overtime. And I would assume also from a police force on the administrative portion. Is that true?
The government rate is 2.8%, social security and everything else, just FYI.
Yep.
Just as a sampling for the, what the employees that fall under administration, between 3% and 4%, there is $3,000 difference in salary.
I don't know how.
It's at 3%, the total is 406,000 before taxes and pension and benefits. At 4%, it's 409,000.
All right, hold on. Give me a minute. So right now, we have 417 in the administration, minus the town manager, which has a contract. So let's call that roughly $300,000 right now. Plus parking's already taken care of. We talked about the rate. Lifeguard, we already talked about the rate. You got Todd at another 27,000. And then Alderman,
Part-time assistant town manager.
right?
Slash
And then
building
administrative
official.
employees at town hall, which are another 178,000. So we're looking at roughly $550,000. Is that pretty much what you have also? That are
As far as just salaries,
correct?
for the,
You know what I'm saying? To me, it sounds like $3,000 is too low to go from 4 to 3, because saying there's,
for the 5 employees that fall under administration, it goes without the town manager.
plus dispatch, plus the
Oh, no, I thought you just meant,
non-contractual total. When I look at the fact that we've got, I mean, if you break this down, our payroll, our employee-related expenses on the fiscal '26 budget was 4.3 million.
I think she thought you meant just the admin side of the
Yeah.
house when you were asking about the difference between 3 and 4%. You're talking about the whole salary, correct?
Yeah, the whole non-contractual
that's-
employees.
I misunderstood, I apologize.
550.
Right, well. We can do the math on that as we go through. You don't need to do that right now. All right. We've gone through, I'm just gonna try to summarize, and then we're gonna move up to just look at from the revenue standpoint perspective, because the intention here is to, now that we have a pretty good understanding of the asks to town hall and the police department in terms of the operating expenses for next year, kind of summarize some of our, some of the issues, and I'll just, put these on the record from my perspective and from both collective perspective. There needs to be we need to address the rainy day fund from set aside. From my own perspective, I believe that there's a significant figure that is in the lifeguard. I'm gonna call it $30,000 to $40,000. That was an overstatement of last year's that we're adjusting for this year that I'd like to have addressed. When we've removed the time clock issue that we have. I know I'm jumping ahead of the game, but just conversation we already had. I do believe that we've, from a parking revenue standpoint, that may be high, given the fact that there's, the personnel are gonna change. And what's not in here is the 130,000 ask right now from the police department concerning grants. And Sheena's gonna get us a number associated with the 3 versus 4%, whatever that number might be in terms of the payroll. Did I miss anything?
Sounds right.
Okay. All right, let's jump up to some of the revenue generation elements that we have here. Do you want to walk us through this, Bill or Sheena, or do you want us just to go through it line by line?
I can go through it line by line.
Just pause for 1 second. Commissioner Persico, you made a comment earlier about the amended budget being in there and that it has not been approved.
Right.
I asked them to put that in just so that we could see the budget, the amended budget. And what was-
No, it's fine.
I forgot to tell you that.
Yeah, it's
that's
just
all.
fine, that's fine.
Go ahead, Sheena.
Under taxes and assessments, the only thing that went up is transfer tax. I took it up by 50,000, based on the fact that cost of everything is going up, and the town seems to keep changing ownership of properties. I am not as confident in that number as I would like to be, but the commissioners seem to have extreme confidence in that year to year.
Well,
Oh, there were years we weren't that confident.
well, let's put it out for the record. If you're looking at $750,000 of 1.5%, you're looking at $50 million of real estate moving in the course of the fiscal year.
We get 1%,
I thought we ended up 1.5.
one,
We split it with the state on a 3.
we get 1%.
Who takes the other half?
I'm guessing the county or somebody, but we get 1%.
Could you send
I'll
the
verify.
council the, last, yeah, Paul and I are under the same impression, that was the 1.5, because it changes the metrics.
Yes.
Because if it's $750,000 at $50 million, that's 3%.
I have numbers floating, I could be extremely wrong.
It's all right. All right.
Well, I think we did the revenue workshop and we looked at the average. We got to, if we took out FY '22, which was a $2 million year, then we were at 904 was that average. But if you look at, FY '23 was 760, FY '24 694, this year we're right on the 700, so,
Yeah, I'm just, the way I try to look at it is, assuming the 1.5 was right, then if we need 750 at the 1.5%, that means, and let's assume 1.1 million average sale price, because it can vary obviously the beach, you need 42 homes. Is that reasonable? And I think 42 is reasonable
Yeah.
year over year. That's kind of where my mind was going with that.
yeah, 84, 40, 33, 44 is the last 5 years. You can look at,
Oh, you're talking about the number of homes?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
So
I remember that.
So that's
Okay.
not, so yeah, 40 is not a bad
Okay.
number, that's what I'm agreeing with you.
All right.
But I don't know, that's, are we gonna
Accommodation.
hit 750 this year?
You are correct, sir. I just pulled up
That's
the
right.
report. I
Okay.
apologize.
That's right. I think I guess we're looking at 750 seems like it's a good number from that perspective. Because I think we have, what was last year, 44 homes?
Yeah, but I guess the question is, so when we've got 688 and we don't have that much time to go, right? So,
I've got the December numbers and we're
oh,
over.
we're hitting over the 700, okay, oh, that's right, I saw that email, sorry, okay.
Okay. So we have 750 on the transfer tax, we have 825 on the accommodations. And we're actually down year over year from actuals on 26 to 25. Is that a timing difference or a?
We, thanks to the efforts of our front office, we get a lot more in right this last bit for the people that didn't pay in October. And for the second 6 months, our front office follows up and collects that. So there's still a bunch coming in. There still will be enough.
What do you
coming in to make
anticipate the
25.
2026 numbers to be? Do you still believe it's going to be around 800?
No, it will be at least we will make the 825, I'm
We'll
almost
make it
positive.
25, okay. Come on.
As an aside, I took in 6,500 today on accommodations tax, so it's still coming in.
So it's Laura Steiner, she runs the front office and does a lot more than just the window. There's a lot more that she does there.
She does it all.
Yes.
Yeah, she made all the data for the last workshop.
Yeah.
Well, councilors, you guys, as everyone looks through these line items, please feel free to ask questions in terms of assumptions that are here.
When we get down to the licensing permits and fees, parking, I'm gonna jump, or the seasonal, daily, and hourly parking, how people pay changes year to year on the hourly and the daily. But all in all, that whole combined amount is roughly the same from last year. It changed a little based on how the analysis of the payments. Building permits, I took down 100,000. We're not gonna make budget this year on that. And then with the change in the permitting of under 10,000, I think it was Commissioner Persinger through his analysis said there would be about 25,000 difference.
Building permit.
If I'm wrong, sir, I apologize.
No, I mean, that's right ballpark. I mean, we're talking about $1,000 difference.
Sheena, I have a quick question if possible.
Yes, sir.
A lot of these are based on a certain number of visits in the summertime, like the summertime, how many people are coming each summer. Are these amounts consistent with the number of folks estimated to have visited the last several years, or are we raising that or lowering that? How are we doing on that?
As far as parking,
Well, no, I mean, it's, whether it's accommodations tax, hotel taxes, whether it's parking, whether it's even like beach fires and dog licenses, a lot of those are based on how many people are coming to the town each summer. And so is this based on a consistent number of tourists, summer tourists each year, or how are we estimating tourist load, whether it's going up, going down? I'm sure it's not always static.
the accommodations tax and hotel lodging tax, with those being, we do not bill for those. We are given the revenue and told what it is based on.
Okay.
We have to strictly do that based on historical data.
Okay.
The parking is also based on historical data because there's a lot of people that come to this town that live locally and are really not a tourist. There are
Right.
people that don't park here and park elsewhere and come in. It's just based on historical.
Okay.
There's not much otherwise that if someone has another idea of how I can analyze this, I would gladly take it.
Well, I think what John might be getting at though is because I found when I was doing myself, what's hard to get at is we changed the fee structure, and so you don't really, so we get more money, but, you know, is the raw number of hours that people are paying for parking, what does that look like? You know, the raw number of hotel rooms and the raw number of rentals, and you can get at that a little bit if people are being honest about, you know, what they're doing, but, you know, the Chamber of Commerce has their data, and I think the last meeting, they said that we were, that we were up, but every place else was down, so are we an anomaly, and, you know, were we lucky this year or not? That's, I mean, those are good questions if we see some of that falling off. I just don't, maybe we need to figure out how to collect that data so we have it in the future, but I couldn't get it, and I wanted it.
I mean, through Park Mobile, we can get the number of hours that are paid for. That's year to year, you can, hours is hours.
Yeah.
That is easy to get. We can get how many people literally purchase a parking permit. That's easy. As far as people that, how many people stay at Mr. Talley's rental versus your rental, we don't know.
But that doesn't matter so much.
But he has more, so he might rent less, you know, and we don't know how many people are staying at the hotels. You know, we have to, it's strictly a honor system.
Sheena, do we get any reports from the state? Because they're collecting accommodation and hotel tax too.
We do
Wonder if we
not.
can ever match up with what they know and what we know.
But isn't that also an honor system?
It is. But they've
People are more
probably
likely
collected
to
some
lie
that
to
we
us than
haven't,
the state.
vice versa.
I'm sure we could figure out how to get the information. Then it becomes if someone, now I'm not saying that anyone is, but if someone is not being fully honest with the town, is it really something that we want to go and cause poor ill will with a business or a property owner? How much is that, you know, the ill will versus a few dollars?
So, you know, you had shared the state accommodations tax, that site, and I did research everyone that filed a state accommodations tax with a Dewey address, and everybody that had filed had also paid tax to the town.
Right.
That was on that list, so I did go and look at that to see, perhaps there is someone. I think honestly, for those databases to coincide, it's gonna take a few years, because there were actually a lot of people that paid to the town that had not paid to the state. I think there's still a lot of education going on in that piece. In the past, for hotels, because they also have to file their lodging tax with the state, there was a state form that they have to fill out, but very often, when they go to fill that state form out, it's not working. So I will get it intermittently from some of the accountants that are doing it. But then, you know, some months they'll send me the check for their lodging tax and say, the state page is down, so we can't print it out for you to see. And that's where we have to rely on that honor system, as Sheena's talking about.
I'm just wondering, yeah, we can close some loops at some point. Everybody's just gotta be honest, that's what it comes down to.
So the only,
We'll have to ask.
the only revenue bumps you have in here are rental licenses, commercial business licenses, and a little adjustment on daily parking fees.
Yes.
What's currently the, what are the rates for rental licenses now? You're projecting here to go to $250 for the base with each additional room over 2 and $20. What's the current rate?
Right now, for a 1 or 2 bedroom, it is $188. For every additional bedroom, it's an additional $15.
Okay. And then for the commercial business licenses, what are the rates there?
Right now, the in-town small pays $359. The out-of-town small, so somebody up at the Forgotten Mile is considered out of town, they're $143. Whether you're in-town or out-of-town large, it's $503. What we are, to make things easier and more equitable all around, what we would like to propose is taking all small, whether you're in or out, we don't care where you are, you pay $260. All large, $520.
Okay, and that's what equates to the $81,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are we worried that that's, my only question there is.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry, I'm
No, go ahead, go ahead.
My worry there is that a lot of stuff, if you need something fixed in your house, you need to call somebody to come and do it, and those are all small onesie twosie people. Are we gonna deter people from wanting to,
We have a single day license.
and that's the $25?
20, 29.
29, okay.
Yeah. We weren't even.
So we can just do it that way, that
Yeah.
makes sense, yeah, so, okay, yeah.
This is
Forgot about
for
that.
your repeat.
Yeah, yeah,
the
like
kind
on
of-
yoga on the beach and all that
Right.
stuff, yeah.
The single day, no, that's a great
Even
thing.
that's- Yeah, okay,
When
all right,
touch
cool.
that.
So the only other place we have here, parking, a minor adjustment, $12,000. Are there some other things we could do with parking? I mean, you can eliminate the free parking.
Right.
I don't know, adjusting the rate, really pushes above everybody else. The
Rehoboth?
hourly rate, I mean.
Yeah, the hourly would, the Rehoboth for their daily is $25. For their weekend is 60, and for their 8-day is 120.
Okay.
And we also, we did see some suggestions possibly taking it earlier, starting at 9 versus 10.
Right.
Have we quantified those?
No, it's, how do you, I would be very open to suggestions as to how I could estimate how much extra that would bring in.
All right.
Do you have the ability to pull out the amount of revenue taken at 10 a.m., like who's between 10 and 11?
Yes, I can do it, but for anybody that paid through.
For anybody at Park Mobile, 10, 11, I just figured look at 2026 and or 2025, which is 2026. Let's just see what that number generated
Okay,
and see what would happen if we had
Adjust it
it.
down a little
Right.
bit, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I like what you did. I like the additional on the rental, the commercial rental license, since we can't touch the accommodation rate. It's grossly understated compared to the other neighboring communities.
oh, the commercial business, I'm sorry, one
No.
other thing I forgot.
Got
A $2 increase per seat in the,
for the restaurant.
rental, or the restaurants and
Yeah.
bars,
Yep.
and a $2 per room for the hotels.
Okay.
I'd forgotten about that, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
you can read it.
Okay.
So if we assume those things, if we assume that we're gonna put those things into motion that you've highlighted as is, we still have a potentially pretty significant deficit from an operating perspective. When I look at the rainy day requirements, when I look at a reduction in the fines, when I look at a reduction in the employee, the cost from the time clocks, we're probably looking at somewhere around 240 to 250,000 that we need to identify, just from the back of a napkin, from a revenue perspective.
It feels like more than that to me. But particularly if you're talking about the capital expenditure. If you're talking about the capital expenditure request, if you throw that in there, that's even worse.
Correct.
When was the last time we moved the seat price for
Last
commercials?
year.
Was that last year we moved it to?
Really recently. We don't have a lot of levers.
Yeah, no.
Run out of levers to pull.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't talk about the town-wise expenses. I did have a couple of questions, but I can ask those offline.
No, you go right ahead. Do it now so it's on the record.
Well, I'm just saying, we have like $15,000 in for a compensation plan because it's time. And I was just wondering, when is the last time we did that?
So we did a comp plan, we have to do one every 10 years, Commissioner Persinger is aware of this. It can cost anywhere between 23 to 30,000, even higher. So we thought we should start setting some money aside for that now. It won't be due this fiscal year, but it will be due the following fiscal year, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
FY
So-
28.
10 years ago, we paid $20,000, 10 years ago, for that comp plan with an outside firm to come in. And it's required by the state that we do this comp plan.
Okay, that's,
So we wanted to set aside, start saving some funding for that. In the mayor, I met with the mayor, Commissioner Persinger was on a call with us, and he's gonna talk about that after during the 3 o'clock. But the mayor's also looking at that comp plan to see if that's something maybe the town should take on, just doing on its own, instead of having an outside source. But Commissioner Persinger goes to, but there's a group out of University of Delaware that has done over 70% of the towns in the state. And their fee is anywhere from maybe 23,000 to 60.
well, we have it state requirement, that's what.
Well, yeah, we have to do it. All municipalities in Delaware have to prepare and submit to the state for approval a 10-year comprehensive plan. Ours is up. We have to have one by 2018. I don't know if it has to be, it could spill over into the later part of 28, which would be 29, so they may be able to push a few expenditures back that way, but it's not a huge expense.
No, I just didn't have to have for. And then the other thing is, on the IT software, so we have that going up, but I thought that we had bought some software so we could just save money, but do we have an actual annual license? It wasn't a one-time?
There is an annual license. There's quite a few different, that's our support for our network. Everything, and we're moving into a new building. We do not know what the support number will go up to.
It could stay basically the same. The police department has looked at some numbers, and I've asked Sheena to verify those. It could stay about the same, but she's over just in case.
All right, and then the same with the hardware is the same idea, that just in
Right.
case, because I just worry that, that we are taking on a significant expense and everything with the new building, and there's perceptions about that, and so, we ought to be trying to, I think, in my opinion, string along as much as we can with what we have. Same thing with, furniture and other things, like if you make it a Taj Mahal from the jump, then
Yeah.
people will have a different perception than if we're saying, okay, we bit the nut to buy this building and went to buy what we really needed, but then we're gonna take our time. I just think that would be
Like all,
my opinion.
our major copiers, printers, we have 2, and a small one upstairs for the police department, I believe. They all were, the lease is up on all of them, because they were acquired in 2018, when Scott Koenig got here. So, and the only reason we're getting maintenance on them out of the lease agreement is we have a good relationship with the company right now, and they know we're gonna have to get get new equipment and new leases.
Yeah.
And so an 8-year difference, there's an increase in rates, for leases and all. So it's things like that. I've historically over budget my expenses.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make sure that, as you stated, the move to the town hall wasn't as big a shock in our overall budget.
Yeah, okay. And then then the beautification, we already went up 5,000 in the amended budget, so to do another 5,000 on top of that, I don't know what the beautification is in there, but again, if we're sitting here, we're worried about all this stuff we're doing, where we have a deficit, then, where can we sharpen our pencils is really, not because we don't want to be beautiful or any of these other things, it just, we're not gonna be able to say yes to everything, I would imagine. Well, I'm not saying yes to anything, commissioners. I'm just asking the main questions.
Way to pass the buck, thanks, Iris.
All right, thanks, that's all.
All right. Any other questions of town concerning the budget process and where we are right now?
No, I just have one question, and it's on the payroll expenses. I noticed we budgeted 15K, and then the amended budget was 45K. What was the reason for that increase? Because then in 27, we go down to 20K.
Line 76.
Yeah.
There was an issue that developed with our payroll processing and Intuit and us had a few disagreements and some issues. And when we set up the payroll back in '22, some things were set up wrong.
So it's a one-time hit.
It is a one-time hit.
Now, as a sort of a follow-on, I thought we bought some of the software that we're gonna implement and use.
The new Edmunds platform module originally was to go into effect this May.
Right.
They have upped it to April of this year.
Okay.
It's taken a full year to get the implementation and all, and they were able to push us through because I was constantly begging and pestering.
Good job.
All right. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting anybody that I'll even ask the question seriously, or that any other commissioners around the table would, but, I mean, Iris just mentioned sharpening your pencil. A more of a somewhat meat cleaver approach would be to come back to you and say, reduce your expenses by X%. How would you feel about that? How would you approach that?
We'd have to go line by line on our expenses and see where we could save. We'd sit down with the department heads again and say, hey, we need to cut 10%, 20% through and through, and try to make budget that way. I think, looking at what you have in front of you, if we have to cut some things, I think Sheena and I could cut somewhere around $25,000 in this. When we went over it the other day, I saw some areas that if we had to cut, like 3,000 here, 4,000 here, to get us up around 25,000.
And maybe I would double check all those tax things again too, because
Yeah.
maybe there's some more, because that was like 20 grand right there, I see, right?
So
that's-
also on our health benefits, we won't know until June what the state is coming out at, is that correct?
Correct.
So I believe it's going to be around 7% increase on our health benefits. And if you look, it's a significant part of the budget when it comes to, with the salaries and everything. Sheena put in this budget 10%. All right, so that's 3% more than I believe it's going to be at 7, but we won't know till June. So what if it comes in at 8? What if it comes in at, what if it does come in at 10? So we budgeted for 10.
Good question on parking. What's Rehoboth looking at instead of the hanging tags, the paid by plate?
So they're doing T2, which we have. We've had T2 for almost, I think this will be our 4th year with T2. Gives you the option to put 6 tags in at one time, as long as only one car can be in the town at that time. That's what Rehoboth's looking to go to. They give free parking permits for their property owners there, but they pay a property tax. And they're staying at $4 as far as I know, looking at their budget so far this year.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we could get any more. I mean, I know parking generates 2 million, but I mean, is there any, does that go to 2.1 if we go to that, instead of the hanging tags and registering one car?
It's not gonna really change, it won't change anything.
Well, and T2 only allows one payment price, whereas, so then the property owners don't get their discount, which is one of the reasons that a lot of the property owners don't
Right.
utilize that system.
When was the last time we raised the seasonal tag price?
I think it was last
Last
year.
year.
Was it last year too? Okay. Trying to
At the
remember
risk
which
of
years we
taxing
raised
myself,
what.
What if we eliminate the property owner half-price permits?
Oh, no, you don't get elected, never mind.
It's nice knowing you.
Well, we don't have any other
not your
property
year
tax,
either.
right?
Gary and I will be looking for jobs next year.
This is my $150.
You mean I'm not gonna get a raise?
You will, 100%. Town manager, town hall, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for the time that you've put forth to this. We're gonna ask, we don't want to be the cleaver. We're gonna ask you to go through and I appreciate the honesty and the candor about, having a little excess in there, but we need to really, this is gonna be a challenge year. We've got a new town hall that we have some uncertainties with. In terms of its cleaning, janitorial, utilities, everything when you think about it's gonna change. We're gonna try to be as prudent as we can in terms of utilization of existing furniture and equipment as we move over there. But we really need to make this a tight year. And we've been, I won't say that we're generous, we've been appropriate in moving the way we have over the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years, getting people where they needed to be competitive. And we just need to make sure that we're looking at everything really close, because we also have next year, the FOP contract is up for renewal. So we just need to be smart about the decisions we make for this fiscal year. Sorry.
Could I ask Commissioner Persinger, when you're coming up, or the mayor's coming up with 290,000 that we're in the red, do you think, based on set-asides, rainy day, unassigned fund, keeping it where it
I was
should
just
be, right?
basically thinking about what we need additional in the rainy day fund by the end of the fiscal year. It's about 270. There's some other, pluses or minuses working in there too. So we came up with somewhat different figures. But I think the revised budget that you have here is already, was it $47,000?
Right, that's what, are you including the capital expenditures in that or not, right?
Not including those.
So the 132 for the police cars is not included
No.
when you, okay.
Yeah, the problem is we created a capital expenditure fund several years ago by taking half of the hotel tax. Now we're taking half of the hotel tax, putting that toward town hall, and we want to keep that half of the hotel tax reserved for debt service for whatever loan proceeds we have. We need to somehow get back to a real capital expenditure budget and finding a revenue source to fund that.
Yeah. Well, if we were able to increase our estimated donations from $1 million to $3 million, then we don't have a loan, so we don't need the debt service.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea.
Quick question, if I
Make
may.
the checks payable to Town of Dewey Beach and put Town Hall on the line, John.
Thanks. Quick question. Looking at the taxes, aside from a property tax, what other taxes require referendums or charter changes?
Good question.
Increase to the accommodations tax.
Okay.
That's right, yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, basically
What's that,
Yeah,
Fred?
any new tax.
Any new tax?
Any
Okay.
new
Yes.
tax.
Any of those would require, okay, any new tax, the property tax and the accommodations tax.
Correct.
Okay, just something to keep in the back of our heads.
Some or all might require state approval.
Okay.
Charter change. A charter change to that, which means state approval. Exactly.
But if I could just make a final comment, we do have in the beach replenishment fund, by charter, it's sitting there at $6 million approximately. We also, based on the work that Commissioner Persinger and I did on a general fund policy, we have 50% of all expenditures always sitting there if we do the budget correctly. And then we also have 15% in an unassigned fund that is always sitting there. So there is cash sitting there. There are different pots of cash, and I just, overall, the town, I think, has done a really good job in all three of those areas.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, what scares me though is we just got the Reed project isn't funded. What happens the next time we need beach replenishment? Is somebody gonna say, well, never mind, I'm not paying for it this year? And then what?
Well, we've already had that on the Bayside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that the future?
That's why we have the beach fund,
Right, like we can't.
for the one time that we could pay for beach
Right,
replenishment out
exactly,
of our
and
own
then,
funds,
right.
which is a whole different conversation.
We're not the only beach in that would be affected by that either.
Okay. Any other questions for the town as part of this budget meeting?
And we are looking at what possibly be 9 AM to 10 AM extra funding.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the
I'm
question?
sorry.
So parking,
Parking.
just what are we gonna estimate that 9 to 10 might bring us?
Yes, that's on my list right here.
Thank you.
Christine, you want to come on up? Being that you don't have a microphone in front of you, even though you did miss public comment that happened in the beginning of the meeting. Come on. Okay, come on up.
Jim Deegan, 103 Hayden Road. I think you have a tough task ahead. I would definitely look into the time clock issue with the lifeguards. That is, you're adding $10, if they stayed till 5:30 and they were getting $20 an hour, you're getting $10 times how many crew members times 100 and some days. All of a sudden, that's some money right there. I'd also inquire about what they do when it's a rainy day. Do we have 28 guards sitting in a beach shack, or what the minimum? What do they define as, hey, lightning and everyone's off the beach? So I think those are some tough questions you need to ask, and so forth. I also think that we're a town of 450 people, and it's a ghost town here, and so we're budgeting for like 20,000. So I think that it's a tough decision you guys got to make.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Any other questions or comments from council, committee? No. All right, let's go back to the agenda. Thank you for everyone's work and time. We'll work with the town to tighten this up. And
May I ask, does the commissioners plan on having a third budget workshop, or just the final presentation of the budget? And I know the February meeting is a couple weeks, so I was just figuring out timing.
my thought process is that this is for everyone to discuss. My thought process here is that we're going to get some of the answers to these questions that were brought up in terms of the 9 to 10, in terms of the time clock issue, other things, and what our actual needs are from a gap perspective, and that would be then redistributed and to the committee as well as to the council for review. I believe by code we need to approve the budget for 2027 by
March.
Third week in March.
By the third week of March.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can talk about it again in February as part of the February meeting review, but I don't think we need to go through the detailed workshop that we just did with all the departments.
Oh, I understand that.
Okay.
I know other towns have like 5 or 6 meetings, and I didn't. And
We're more efficient.
We have progressed.
You can
quite
write
a
that
bit.
down, Ellen.
We've progressed quite a bit in including the community, and I just wanted to.
No, I would expect that we were going to be reviewing this in the February meeting, but the February meeting was the second week, this time, not the third, second Friday, not the third Friday. So you have a short window.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What I'd like to see from the finance committee is maybe everybody come up with a few recommendations and, to be suggested to the commissioners.
Okay.
Is the charter on the internet?
With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.